you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Folks, Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. We'll let that lady in here. Welcome to the big show, my family and friends. As always, the Chris Voss Show is the family that loves you but doesn't judge you. Please not as harsh as the rest of the world, because you're here to learn, grow, and educate yourself with all the most amazing, brilliant, non-conspiracy-minded authors on the show. We're not one of those podcasts, folks, but we are the oldest living podcast that still broadcasts 1 to 2 new shows a day. So be sure to support us. There's only a handful of us left, and it's last man standing, whoever dies first on this point. I'm trying to stay alive, but I need your love and attention because I live for it. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, on those crazy places on the internet. We have an amazing young man on the show with us today. His latest book is out called Science Nonfiction, Behind the Scenes in University Research by Professor Darren Lipomi, and I believe he's also a doctor or doctorate. We'll find out, and he'll tell us if my show is infected, because it's got a weird scab on it that's going green, and I don't know what that's about. But we will find out. Maybe he knows, maybe he doesn't, but that's what we'll find out. He is a PhD, a scientist, educator, and academic whose career has taken him from undergraduate training through elite research environments at Harvard and Stanford to faculty and leadership positions at the University of California, San Diego, and the University of Rochester, where he has led a research group and engaged deeply with questions of scientific culture and reform. He's a recognized voice in conversations about the future of academic science, combining rigorous technical expertise and with an uncommon willingness to examine the institutions he has inhabited. He is the author of 150 scientific publications and licensed patents. Thankfully, we're just doing one today. We don't have that kind of show. It's not that long, 150. And members of his research team have founded several companies. He has received awards from the U.S. Air Force, the National Institutes of Health, the National Science Foundation. And in 2019, he received the Presidential Early Career Award for Scientists and Engineers from the White House. He's the host of the popular YouTube channel and its associated podcast, Molecular Podcasting with Darren Lipomi, which together have more than 2 million views and downloads. He lives in Rochester, New York with his wife, daughter, 2 cats, and bearded dragon. We're going to have to find out about that. Darren, welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Do you want me to refer to you as doctor during the show or just Darren?
Just Darren, please.
Or almighty, all-powerful, whatever you want.
King of Roinar and protector of the realm, all that.
There you, hear ye. Does Darren just enter the room as such? Anyway, give us .com so we want people to find you on the interwebs.
Sure. You can find my research group at lipomigroup.org. I also have an Amazon author page. That's just my name, Darren Lipomi. I have a YouTube channel. That's just Darren Lipomi too. And my podcast, you can also find that under Darren Lipomi, but the title is Molecular Podcasting.
Now, what's this bearded dragon about? You've got to take care of that. Put that.
My daughter, who's 7 years old, last year wanted a snake, and we didn't want to feed a snake dead frozen mice, so we got a bearded dragon who eats cockroaches, and that is a fine compromise.
Yeah, and then if you move into some low income housing, you don't have to buy food for that thing.
That's right. It does the job of like a mouse or cat, but for cockroaches. It's cute. It looks like a Muppet. It looks like Ernie from Sesame Street, but green.
That's wild. Okay, well, that's our day in usual pets, folks. Thanks, we covered that segment of the show. So let's get into your book, Science Nonfiction. Tell us 30,000 overview. What's inside?
Sure. About a year ago, I became frustrated with what I was hearing about my field in the media and from politicians about scientific research is woke and DEI and a waste of money, and the and was thinking, this is not the life that I'm living. This is not what I'm seeing with my eyes on the ground every day. And I wrote a book as an antidote to what I was seeing in popular and political culture about science. And I have been in a lot of the places that are in the news. I did my PhD at Harvard. I did a postdoctoral position at Stanford in the chemical engineering department. And I wanted to write a corrective to what was happening. And I'm also a big fan of Anthony Bourdain and Kitchen Confidential, and how what he did with that book in about 2000 opened up everybody's eyes to how professional kitchens and the restaurant industry works. And so the tone I tried to adopt was one in which I poke fun, but with love at the enterprise that is scientific research and the people involved in it, where the money goes, who does the work, and how it impacts people's lives.
So would the summation be that scientific research through universities isn't all woke or isn't woke at all?
Some of it is woke. Some of it is DEI adjacent. Some of that is very good. Some of that is maybe not so good. But we don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Yeah. So the U.S. spends about $60 billion a year in basic research that happens in university labs. But in return, the American taxpayer gets a lot back. So some estimates say that since World War II, basic research funded by the government is responsible for 50% of all economic growth. That is hundreds of billions of dollars. I mean, look at how much growth has occurred since World War II. And you can see that it's big, right? Even if you look at applications like energy infrastructure, so like hydraulic fracturing, something from chemical engineering, my own field, that was funded by university research, but then something that's also like left coded, like mRNA vaccines, that was funded by university research. Wow. And so this is, if you had a venture capital firm that was making a 15% ROI for their investors, that would be considered pretty good. Yeah. And so the federal government is getting much of a higher ROI in terms of economic value, along with the skills creation that's occurring when you put smart people in a university lab. You teach them how to create knowledge and invent things. Many of them start companies. Many of those inventions are licensed by big companies and become big parts of existing industries. It's really a win-win-win. Are there some studies that sound silly when they're brought up in a congressional hearing, like, you studied what, the gonads of a seahorse or whatever, and stuff that's taken out of context the vast majority of times? But you don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. In the case where that even is the bathwater, and oftentimes it's not, because you never know what's going to come out of that research.
I'm doing a study right now on bathwater.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You need a transparent bottomed rubber ducky to see what's living down there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got like one of those GoPros on the bottom of it. And I'm actually just trying to figure out why my 1-year-old husky loves to sleep in the bathtub, because most huskies don't want anything to do with showers or bathtubs or anything with clean water.
I have a chemical engineering theory. I would be willing to bet that the bathtub has a high thermal conductivity and pulls heat away from a husky who has thick fur. So maybe that's it.
And he's shedding right now. So you are correct, sir. I believe your theory is, what's that called, where you validate your theory through other people also coming to the same conclusion? I forget what it's called.
Confirmation bias.
Or like they basically go, yeah, we tested his theory, and we got the same results. I forget what it's called, but so not everyone's running around the research departments with septum piercings and really bad pink hair. Is that what you're telling us?
we have some of those people, and we love them.
Yeah, but not everyone. It's like
not everyone. No.
And the other thing is too is go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I'm probably part of the most conservative discipline in academia. So chemical engineering, to put my cards on the table, I'm somewhere left of center, but I'm a chemical engineer, and chemical engineers screwed up this planet. But with the microplastics and the carbon dioxide emissions and so on, but we're also the ones that have the ability to fix it. And so I've been part of the energy production, military, academic, industrial complex, having grants from the Department of Defense or Department of War, or whatever we're calling it now, and as well as activities within, let's say, the DEI industrial complex as well. So I've seen academia from all sides.
Yeah. I want some university research on how we can finally ban and get rid of septum rings. Anyway, I just want to go up and door knock on those people. Anyway, old jokes from ditching, what was that called when we were kids? Knock and ditch, or ditch and dodge, or I don't know. Anyway.
Dippin' Dots?
Ditch and dodge, that was called. You knock on the door and run off. Anyway. So yeah, anytime I see one of those nose rings, I just want to use it like one of those old door knockers. So anyway... Now, you guys, there's a lot of health things that you guys have done, like cancer. You mentioned the mRNA vaccines. Those have turned out to be stupendous and just, I guess, versatile at a lot of different things. But a lot of health things you guys have done that have made it so people can live longer, I think. Yeah,
so about half of all research expenditures from the federal government, actually more than half, is awarded by the National Institutes of Health, which is all health research. It's quite, when you propose something to the National Institutes of Health, it has to be one or two steps from clinical relevance. So these proposals that we submit are judged on the basis of significance, innovation, approach, investigators' quality, and the quality of the environment you're in. Those are the 5 scoring criteria. And if you don't have health significance, you're not going to get the grant. So it would be very difficult to get an NIH grant, which is, again, more than half of all federal spending, to sound silly in a congressional hearing. It's very relevant to health. I've had grants from the NIH myself in the area of implantable biomaterials for sensing. Oh, wow. We've had some applications in devices to assist throat cancer to rehabilitate their swallowing function. And we've been in clinics. It's still considered basic research, but it's very applied. It's very close to the clinic.
Yeah. And so what you do is with 2 decades of experience in elite labs, you reveal the systems and how it works. Politicians love to slap their shit against anything and be like, oh, point fingers. Oh, they're up to that over there. There's been a really war on academia and education from the right since Nixon, and part of it is because it was Kent State and the rebellions that were taking place at colleges over the Vietnam War, and they saw those as bad places. Ronald Reagan sent the military into one of the colleges, and that backfired, if I recall rightly. And there's just been a war on universities and education because the people that they want working in red states, they don't want them working technical jobs. They want them in coal mines. They want them in blue collar jobs. And so there's been this war on education for a long time that I've watched. My mom was a teacher for 20 years and in a Republican state. And I watched, she's like, well, they doubled the class sizes. Well, they doubled the class sizes again. Well, they cut more of our funding. And you can look across the spectrum since Nixon and see this war that's gone on. And it's almost like we've entered, with this latest regime, war on education 2.0. In fact, it's really gone much farther than I thought it would, especially with the recent revelation here in 2026. Folks, if you're watching this 20 years from now on YouTube like you do, they just revealed that they cut the scientific funding for universities that are in states that didn't vote for Donald Trump's regime. And I remember during the Bush administration, one of the things, I was actually Republican at the time, and I wasn't well educated on the world and our place in it and why we held that place in the world. I was just a businessman who's made a lot of money and figured this is the party for me. And I remember one of the things I had a real problem with was when President Dick Cheney cut off That's really what's going on. Cut off fetal tissue,
stem cell
research.
Yeah.
And I remember reading about the science behind that, and I'm like, holy shit. He's just cut 10 years off of the potential lifespan that we would live. We're now living longer ages. He's probably cut 10 to 20 years. People are going to die. This is insane. And that was one of the proponents that made me leave on top of 9/11. But yeah, I just looked at it and I went, this is so insane that we can't test this stuff. I'm an atheist. I have if you want to do whatever you want to do to babies and whatever, whether you're a mother or whether you're a scientist, as long as it's legal and everybody's, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I just looked at it and I went, Jesus, I'm probably not going to live as long as I would have because they've cut off that science for that time being.
Yeah. That's a totally defensible.
That's how I'm feeling right now too.
Yeah. Scientists have had enemies on both sides of the political spectrum for hundreds of years. If you look at Galileo, and he was killed for looking at the stars and the planets and saying some things that turned out to be correct. And then, but you also have, so there are religious objections to some of the findings of science, but you also have objections from the political left that are of the flavor science is deterministic and science is social Darwinist, but what they miss is that science is, everybody's doing science when they behave in a rational, evidence-based way around their day-to-day life. Let's say you buy a toaster and it's a new toaster and you put it on 3 and the bread is still frozen, and then you put it on 5 and it's burnt to a crisp. Well, then you're going to hypothesize that putting it on 4 is maybe the sweet spot. Yeah. And what you've done is you've made some guesses about how the world works, and you triangulate and you find the right way. What we're doing in science is, and many scientists that I respect will disagree with me on this, but I really don't think it's any more complicated than that. It's just that to do science, you need tools because your senses are not attuned to things that are the size of a molecule or a virus or even a bacterial cell. And so you need access to tools that require training to use, training to interpret the data. Sometimes if you're in archaeology or something, you need access to sites that are far away, or you need digging to. I'm not an archaeologist, obviously, but you need this extra level of knowledge and capability and financial backing in order to do this stuff, to prove that you need to put it on number 4 to get the toast the way you need it to come out. And that's what science and engineering is. It's not like some other way of thinking, just how it's sometimes painted by the political left, the cultural relativistic, your way of thinking is as good as this other, and so on. Science just being one of many ways. What's kind of different about now in the current administration is that this is really an internal, what looks like sabotage of the system that built all of the greatness that we are now experiencing in terms of cures and treatments for preventable diseases, the ability to breathe clean air and drink clean water, the ability to have basically unlimited energy. We can talk about global warming in a different conversation, but these are all the products of this investment. And it was fine when it was just this right-wing commentator or this left-wing academic yelling at us, but it didn't affect the funding agencies, except for a few cases like the stem cell ban that you referred to in the early aughts. But that's why this is categorically a different headwind than we've faced before.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And people don't realize this shortens the lifespan of everybody. We're living now longer than ever before, but we're having so many challenges at that level: dementia, Alzheimer's, you name it. And my scary thing that I worry about in my lifetime is that I live a long life and that I lose my ability to remember my life. I'm 58 now. I'm really happy. I like to be able to look at my life and enjoy the great memories I have. And even at this age, I try and make great memories. So I'm like, this will be great to think about someday and live, go to concerts and stuff. And sometimes you get old and you just reach a point where you're like, maybe I won't go to the concert, but I'll remember the great concerts I had because I have to pee and I don't want to be in the middle of the crowd when I got to pee.
Yeah. Sometimes your memory of the event was actually even a little bit more pleasurable than the event itself.
Sounds like my first 10 marriages. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Marriage jokes, folks. But yeah, you're right. And I don't know, man. Do you? I imagine you're hoping people read this book that are maybe layman people and citizens out there in the populace that vote, and maybe will read this and go, oh, there's definitely more complexity and context to this thing than just, I don't know, seeing if frogs are gay, if I can quote that idiot off of whatever that show was.
Sure. Yeah. What I'm hoping people will do, number one, is be entertained by the book, and the vehicle for the entertainment is new facts that the median reader might not have been aware of. I don't think anyone outside of the field or the program managers who dole out the funds know where that $60 billion a year goes. I don't think they know the mechanism for how it creates jobs and medicines and energy technologies and information technologies. I don't think there's the median person has the first clue, and I don't blame them because I don't have the first clue about anything else other than your research. Other than this area, right? So what I'm trying to do is peel back the curtain and give the reader the ammunition that they need to have a good conversation with people at the dinner table, people at the bar, people on a radio interview, and add more signal to the noise and to try to have a good time doing it. It's a short book. It's only 150 pages. You can read it in a couple hours. I did the audiobook myself. If you're a Spotify subscriber, you can just listen to it for free because you already subscribe to Spotify. It's on there in North America, at least, for free. And I had fun writing it. The people who have reviewed it have enjoyed it, and I think it's going to be a positive contribution to the conversation.
Yeah, I'll throw it at everybody on Facebook who says batshittery and be like, here, read a book. And they'll be like, what's reading? Anyway, what are words? Anyway, but no, I was just thinking as you were talking, can you imagine what COVID would have been like if we had not had the mRNA vaccine, if I pronounce that right? And that was developed for something else, and it was in the can. It wasn't, I don't think it was fully approved, and they erased the approval on it, but it was designed for something else, but it was there on the shelf. Can you imagine what if we had to somehow create that out of whole cloth and the time it'd take to do that during COVID crisis if mRNA hadn't been pre-made for us?
Yeah, probably multiple times more deaths.
Yeah.
We already lost more than 1 million Americans.
Oh, yeah.
It could have been one or two. I don't have
we'd probably still be in lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then we'd probably all take an ivermectin and bleach, and we all know how that story went.
And you could do so much more with mRNA technology than just vaccines. Yeah. The ability to synthesize, to get your own biological machinery to synthesize pretty much any protein on a dime. It's like an enormously powerful tool in health.
And I believe the final studies have come out that have said that the mRNA, am I pronouncing that right? mRNA vaccine actually helps in a lot of different variants. They find they have, I believe, better health. And I think at one point they were talking about maybe trying to see if they could target it to give the body a blueprint to fight cancer and different ailments. And so you think of the potential of that, but the people that took the vaccine ended up healthier and better than the people who didn't.
Yeah, I was proud to be a clinical trial participant for the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, which was a different technology. It was an older technology, but still very interesting, based on the adenovirus that was kind of reprogrammed with the spike protein genetic information, and that was fun. I recorded some YouTube videos about that, and if I'm executing clinical trials. Executing was a bad word in the context of clinical trials, but if I'm going to be writing proposals for clinical trials in my NIH applications, I wanted to know what it was like on the other side, right? So that was, speaking of pleasant memories. It sucked to get COVID eventually, but it was interesting having a breakthrough infection to go through the different tests and to see how my immunity was triggered with the vaccine and so on.
Yeah. And I am so glad that, well, I'm glad for a lot of things during COVID that I could stay home, that I've worked from home since 2004. And so I was really glad, because I didn't have to go out and meet anybody. And I don't have a wife and kids because I can't afford the divorces and the adoption. He's putting them up for adoption. Anyway, when they become teenagers, that's my plan. But so I was able to avoid a lot of stuff and keep my head down. But I took 4. I think I took 4 of the vaccines. I don't think I got the 5th one, and then I got COVID a year or 2 ago. Can't remember when exactly, folks. But so I basically got about 4 years after it launched. That shit about killed me. And I swear to God, if it hadn't been for having those four vaccines, and if I would have been an early picker upper, I'd have been dead. Because that shit was trying to drown me. I had a whole bed covered in tissues, used tissues, and it was just, for 14 days, it tried to drown my ass. It was relentless. And I took all the stuff too you're supposed to take. That thing was out from my blood. And I fortunately have enough colds in this sick state of Utah that I know you can't get that stuff in your lungs, man. Once it gets in your lungs, you're cooked. Yeah. So I remember looking at my bed one day, rolling over, and it was literally covered in used tissues from the night before. And that's how hard I was fighting to keep that shit out of my lungs. But it was just like a faucet running. Oh yeah. And, it sucked. And thank God I had 4 of the vaccines. I imagine that helped somewhat, but I remember getting very panicky about how difficult it was to breathe. Oh, and then we heard that, well, kids didn't have bad reactions, so on. And my daughter was 2, and she got it unvaccinated. Oh wow! And she was like a rag doll. And I don't know if she had like one of the top 1% of worst bad cases, but yeah, that was the most harrowing period of my life. Now, with regard to my health, but certainly with regard to hers. Yeah, it's a big war that's been going on between religion and science. We've tried to move into a science age. Religion has faded, and now you can see the hard clawback. You see that a lot in fascism and authoritarian. There's always the clawback to the church, and it's a violent clawback. It's a power clawback. And when you study fascism regimes and authoritarianism, this is pretty standard operating procedure. The right wing takes power back and pushes them they kill all the scientists, they kill all the professors. Anybody who's scientific or knowledge or knows things, they get rid of those people. They just want the dumbest idiocracy people ever. And that's the moment that we're at right now, if you really understand what's going on. There's so many of these fascist authors and speakers and historians that have left the country because they go, yeah, we know how this ends. You know how I see it? I see it like a tug of war in like 5th grade, and there are like 20 kids on either side of the rope. And like, I want to be on the winning and the righteous side, but alone, I'm not going to do that much. But I'll apply a few newtons of force to move the rope. And so that's a role I hope the book fills. It's like lifting a piano onto a stage too. Yeah, I mean, who's ever done that? But if one person, not really doing that much, but all combined together, we can make a dent. And the smartest people, the smartest universities, Stanford, Yale, all these universities, they're probably doing the highest quality research. And of course, they attract the highest quality humans, I think, or I don't know about, maybe quality is too broad of a word. For all I know, they're partying too much on the side, but the highest quality, the highest, I don't know, a ranking or educated scientists. And
yeah, the grad students, they come from all over the world, like PhD students and postdoctoral students, researchers, they come from all over the world to study here. We have the best university system in the world.
Yeah. And now that money shifted to, I don't know, some college in Alabama where they're studying whether Deliverance 2 is a documentary or not. That's a joke, folks. I'm sure there's wonderful colleges in, what did I say, Alabama?
Well, you notice that the economic boon to college towns and red states is so significant that their Congress people are lobby to keep the funding levels that the way that they've always been.
Really?
Because that money flows into the economy. So despite the executive branch's Donkey Kong barrels that they've thrown in the path of progress, scientific progress, the NIH and NSF budgets have actually stayed flat. What they're doing is administratively making it more difficult for the money to get paid out. They're also diverting it. They're also having grants undergo political review that is outside of the scientific peer review mechanism. We just had a grant that on the National Science Foundation website said recommended for funding, and then a couple days later, we're sorry, this is not going to be funded after all.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. This is quite routine. I don't know if it's a red state, blue state thing, or because we use the word diverse elements of the periodic table, and then they flagged that.
How dare you?
So it's also ironic. I've gotten an award from President Trump in my university office. I have the certificate for the presidential award hanging in my office with his signature on it. And then at the same time, a couple of years later, the same style of research got flagged because it had the word diversity somewhere in the
description or something.
In the description. And I'm not going to be totally disingenuous and say that in that case it was not diversity of elements in the periodic table. What we're saying is we're trying to diversify the workforce and include more like populations that don't normally go into science for one reason or another. I think we're going to be a stronger country if we have more women and people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds get into science and say, what other word are you going to use?
Yeah, you got to go through the thesaurus and try and find some non-woke word.
That's the game. That's the game.
Yeah.
And even though the outcome is pretty much the same, you want to get poor kids a chance to work in labs, I think.
Yeah. If somebody, look at Einstein. I think he grew up poor, didn't he? He wasn't that bright of it, or people didn't think he was that bright. Let's put it that way.
Right. Yeah.
Working in some minimum wage job at some telegraph office or some crap.
Yeah. Patent office.
What is that guy doing over there? He's got some weird ass hair and funny looking dude. And yet here we are. He's an amazing thing. You just never know where the great idea is going to come from.
1 year, 1906, discovered relativity, the photoelectric effect, and Brownian motion. 3 Nobel Prize worthy discoveries.
Yeah. I think he also invented pocket protectors for scientists.
No? Yeah.
That way nerds can always be identifiable.
You never noticed that blue stain on the chest. That's right. You probably had one of those in there.
I watch Revenge of the Nerds too much times. I'm sorry. It's funny. I'm a comedian, so I think of shit I can pull. And I was sitting there thinking about what you're talking about. And I'm like, I wish I was a scientist because I just start submitting weird ass projects. Like, we're going to figure out how to put a dial on a diaper so we can figure out how full it is. And then we're also going to do a study on how much of the worm ate someone's brain. And I just troll basically with project promotions. I just troll. How small is he in his Stormy Daniels? Correct. I don't know. what I'm talking about, clearly. Anyway.
Put them in the MRI.
Yeah. Or just watch the behavior.
Or the microscope, the electron microscope.
Do they make those ones that can go that small? I don't know.
1 nanometer might be more on the angstrom level.
Yeah. Thanks, Stormy, for taking one for the team. Anyway, that's okay. She couldn't feel it anyway. Tell us about your YouTube channel. Let's get a promotion here for that and your podcast, too.
Sure. About 10 years ago, I decided to put all of my course lectures on YouTube. I figured that it would be a good recruiting tool for UC San Diego and for students to join my research lab. And also, there was this fad in academia at the time called the flipped classroom, where you give the student the lecture at home and then you come in and do problems and projects in class, and the teacher goes around and answers questions. It sounds innovative, but it's really just the Socratic method, like Socrates. It's the way that law and business classes are taught. It was never the way that science, engineering, and math courses were taught until the concept of the flipped classroom. So I'm like, okay, if I record an entire year's worth of lectures, and I recorded about 90 of them, if I recorded a whole year's worth of lectures, I can assign those as the homework and then do the homework at class, and then I don't have to repeat myself every single semester. And so that worked out really well. I started to get people viewing from all over the world. And around the same time, I was invited to give these professional development seminars to PhD students and postdocs. And I would get about 80 students in the room live, but I would record it on my own equipment, put it on YouTube. And some of those videos have now 20,000 or more hits. Wow. Some have 50 or 60,000 views each. And then the podcast I started around the same time. I just took the audio from the episodes that didn't need the video component, turned that into the podcast, and that was the birth of molecular podcasting. Oh, so wow. We're around 20 plus thousand subscribers on YouTube, about 2.5 million hits overall. And the podcast doesn't have the volume, but it has this working in both formats, that the retention is much higher on the audio format. Yeah. Because people can listen on the drive and brushing their teeth, and they're not getting bombarded with, you like this video, 2 seconds later, you might like this one better. And so they click away.
Do you find that YouTube has the same challenge for you that we've always had for 20 years we've been on it? Is anything that's brilliant and intelligent and thoughtful and has science and brains is the most discarded, ignored thing on YouTube?
Yes. That's why I try to have one of my cats on the thumbnail, and then those two better. What I'll do is I'll scrub through my editing software and I'll find where I'm making like a goofy expression by accident, and then those do better.
Yeah.
So we're talking brain surgery. Yeah. But yes, that is absolutely true. I'm like, that's the best episode, 60 views. And that one, I just used some total clickbait thumbnail title and 10,000 views.
Now you just need to put on OnlyFans. It's tough. YouTube, I think, still predominantly is 10 to 15-year-olds who are watching, I don't know, women's videos or gaming or both. And,
I have a very niche audience, so I might have hit the ceiling. I provide tools for students and early career scientists. And
like the smart end of YouTube.
If you want to know how to write a grant or apply for a faculty job or how to get an internship in an industry, I'm the channel for that. Yeah. How to write a good introductory section to your peer-reviewed publication that 5 people are going to read. I'm not criticizing, because most of my papers have only had 5 citations. But yeah, that's the niche that I occupy.
Yeah, you need to add some idiocy, like some self-harm or something. Like, I'm going to talk about getting a PhD from Harvard while I jump off this roof onto a wrestling table and full of nails.
How about self-deprecation? I do a lot of that. That's one of
comedy. Yeah. It's good for comedy. All my jokes are self-deprecation, I think, aren't they? I don't know. I'm stupid. Anyway, anything more we want to plug out? I know you got a website with the .org. Do we want to do a plug on that?
Yeah, lipomigroup.org. That's more for the technically minded person who wants to learn more about my work in haptics. That's materials that interface with the sense of touch. Trying to make the holodeck from Star Trek a reality here.
Oh, really?
We work a lot in new materials for solar panels, trying to recycle materials, and yeah, we do a lot of cool stuff. I don't do any boring research. That's the good part of being tenured is I get to, as long as I can write a good proposal or get a student to work on it, I'm in good shape.
Well, folks, we're living longer than ever. You got to fight for science, man. There's too many discussions we have on the show about Alzheimer's, dementia. My sister with MS and her dementia, we talk about. There's other aging ailments that take place that, God, if we could get science to solve some of these things. And now we've got AI. And if AI could assist scientists at academia, top academia colleges, could help us speed this up and move faster, solve cancer. And we've shut it all down with what's going on. And it's very anti-science. I'm shutting down the wave things out in the ocean where they measure the waves and the currents. And if you think about that, like the temperature of the water, I believe that the temperature of the water, the wave currents or something if those change, they can wipe out like France or some European country. I don't remember which one it was.
Yeah, it's the Gulf Stream.
Yeah.
The Gulf Stream that keeps Northern Europe warm, even though London is on the same latitude as Labrador, which is practically uninhabitable.
Yeah. And France is really dying right now with the heat. We just in Utah had a whole winter with like 3 snows in the valley, and pretty much you just skied on mud up in the mountains. It was the most insane thing ever. It was like, hey, we're skiing on mud. And something is going on, folks. And the more we can know about science, they shut down I believe they shut down that Colorado facility that was, I think, doing
National Renewable Energy Lab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, we need these things to survive, man. I like I said, I never really thought about what if we didn't have the mRNA vaccines. But now when you look back on it, you're like, God, it was a good thing somebody had that kind of on the shelf.
And you'll never know what we didn't have, right? In 10 years, there could be a crisis.
Exactly.
Just look at it from the political right. What if we never had hydraulic fracturing? Gas would be oil and natural gas would be way, way, way more expensive and way more sensitive to price fluctuations due to wars in the Middle East.
Yeah, we'd still be probably more reliant on Middle East oil. That was the thing that really freed us. Because I grew up in the 70s during the oil embargo crisis. I think it was not fun. And even then, back then, I remember when looking at a gas station and the price wasn't $1 for gas. You got these cool stamps when you went in there too. What do they call them? Blue ribbon stamps? Something like that. You might not be as old as I am. But yeah, you go in there, they had like stamps. I don't know what the fuck they were for. Some sort of value stamps. But no, I remember that. I remember people pushing their cars because we were in California. So it was ugly and it was nasty. And yes, seeing that we're free of that and we're a big energy provider, it gives us a lot of opportunities and it just makes life better. But God, if we've cut other thing, we're basically slitting our own throats, really, in our own future. And yeah, it's getting weird out there with these viruses and them crossing over, and there's all sorts of weird. I remember the World Health Organization, like I think it was 25 years ago, they said, hey man, sometime in the next decade, something's going to come and it's going to be one of those things that might take us out, like Ebola or something. And I was like, wow, that's something to think about. And sure enough, that COVID was something else. And it sure wouldn't take much to have something like that happen again, I think.
Yeah. If it were just a little bit, if it had been a bit worse, we'd be screwed.
Yeah, I remember initially thinking, I remember seeing that film, what was it, Contagion? It was the one where everyone would get the virus just by breathing. Like, I think it starts out where the people are in a movie theater and they're all breathing.
Yeah, there's that one. There's 28 Days Later.
Yeah, 20. Yeah. But that was a disappointment with COVID. People didn't turn into zombies. That might have made it more fun.
Brendan Gleeson. What
it's exercise running around with a shotgun. All right. Well, so give people a pitch out to pick up your book and your .coms as we go out.
Yeah, you can. The book is Science Nonfiction: Behind the Scenes in University Research. You can get it on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com. Find it on my Amazon author page. That's Darren Lipomi. Find out all about me on my YouTube channel, which is just Darren Lipomi. My research group website, LipomiGroup.org. I'm the only Darren Lipomi out there, and this is the only one of my 2 books that you're going to want to read. The other one's a textbook, so it'll be easy to find. Yeah. ScienceNonfictionBook.com is another route to get there.
Well, get the word out. Read the books, people. We need more reading. We need more education. We need more support for science, because I want to live a long time. And I don't want Alzheimer's. I don't want dementia. I don't want cancer. Cancer's so ugly. And I'm at that age now where everybody around me is getting cancer. A friend recently got cancer, and man, he's in Texas of all places. And they've got some amazing cutting edge cancer treatments they do down there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
Texas Medical Center.
So I think he's in Houston or Texas. He's somewhere in Texas. But yeah, the stuff they're doing with him is just, he couldn't get it in Indiana. And it was just amazing to read about. And it looks like he's going to pull through, knock on wood. And so, yeah, but it's kind of scary when so many friends are getting cancer, they're getting other ailments. And one of my friends got some sort of nerve issue thing that's really ultra unique, ultra rare. And he's been getting some sort of treatment IV for that that's really costly and crazy, but it saved his life and it's brought him back to where he can function in life again and do stuff. I believe it. And geez, without science behind that, where would we be? And I think we're just going to keep living older and discovering new ailments that we can do. There's that. Anyway, thank you very much, Professor, for coming to the show. We really appreciate it, Darren.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I appreciate you. I appreciate the conversations that you're having.
And let's see if we can get some of that worm brain studied. I don't know what that's about.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I don't know. And don't eat pork that hasn't been frozen for 2 weeks, folks. I have to do that with my dogs. But that, or don't swim in the worst water ever. Take your family.
Wonderful. Advice for the ages, sir.
Advice for the ages, sir. So thank you very much, Darren. Thanks to our audience for tuning in. Order up his book wherever fine books are sold. Science Nonfiction: Behind the Scenes in University Research. The more you read, the more you know, the more you won't be stupid and get played by people who just want to play you, and then pick your pocket. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, and all those crazy places. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.